Newman,
Here.
Cameron,
Here.
Rautenstrau,
Here.
Mylum,
Here.
Cook.
Here. All right, let's go through the agenda. Now, added to the agenda is a certificate for Stephen Worthling, which Jim will present to the police chief. And then let's go through the resolutions. Council on the minutes?
Sounds good to me.
All right, bills. Questions on the bills?
I'll take them.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
I did have questions this, last night and this afternoon, but those were all addressed by the treasurer. So my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Tom, you have anything?
I do not. They were all answered as well.
Okay. Okay, next is the Board of Assessment Review, expanding the board to 5 from 3 to 5 members. Their term will expire on September 30th of 2025. Any questions on it?
I do not have any.
I'll take that, Madam President, if you want.
Here, Mr. Rautenstrau? Okay, and then next is the special events for the Vietnam Veterans of America for the Walls that heals at
I'd like to
Veterans
take
Park.
that.
Sure. Thanks. Any
If we
questions?
don't,
on it?
unless we want to do a council on that.
What does everybody think?
I'm okay either way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think you're going to get opposition on this.
No,
Not at all.
they
Yeah.
did send us a letter too, guys, just thanking us for our donation.
Oh, awesome.
And I will scan that in and send it to everybody as well.
So that's July 20th through the July 25th.
Correct.
Okay, then next is the resolution to construct the 2 pet shelters within Veterans Park.
Council President,
I'll
are we
take that,
doing
Madam President.
for resolution number 4, are we doing council or by?
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Cameron.
No, thank you.
And Dave,
Yes, please.
any questions on it?
I do not. They've been addressed.
Perfect. Anybody else have any questions on it? Okay. Do we have executive?
Not from me, Madam President.
No
Okay.
executive. Mayor? Okay.
No.
All right.
Not yet.
Okay. Let's go around the room. Mr. Newman?
I don't really have anything for the pre-meeting. I'll save my comments for the end. You, Madam President.
Do we have an update on the volunteer firemen? Do we,
For regarding which part?
the contract? So that contract we adopt in March, right?
No, April.
April.
Contract came out in April, correct.
April, okay. Okay,
So we're going to put together a resolution for their contracts, probably for March. I have to
Okay.
guess.
okay.
Tom, will that be for the first meeting in March or the last? Not that it really matters, but
I think I want to try to get it together for the first meeting. It doesn't really matter, I don't believe, but I think I'd like to try to get it going for the first meeting.
okay.
Just in case.
The only other thing that I would like for you and I as the auditing committee on that is if we could get a year-end statement from them, and then just to have that in our records to put together the resolution for their funding.
I've already talked to the National Hose president. I asked him to reach out to the 4 or 3 other presidents, all 4 presidents, and get their audit prepared. So,
Okay.
they should submit it.
Awesome, thanks.
Now, I know we requested that report 2 years ago. Does the chief have it?
That I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Okay.
I'm sure it's subject to change slightly. I'm sure things have cost more since 2 years ago. Everything goes up every year. So,
Right.
I would anticipate it's not going to change the contract amount. They haven't asked for an increase in a few years now. Oh, and I don't anticipate that to change at this point. So they're likely just going to, submit, what it costs them to operate, which pretty much accommodates for that $6,500 as a whole.
Okay.
Their budgets are way beyond that, but it's as a minimum, it's, $6,500 easily accounted for.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Ms. Camerediner?
No, the only thing that I have, like I had stated, we all received an appreciation letter from the VVA for the Wall That Heals. And the dates on there, like we said, are the 22nd through the 25th of July. The other thing real quick, unfortunately, I couldn't split myself in half. So I could not meet with traffic and safety, but I did send them all of our concerns. Tom, I did forward the picture that you had given to me in regards to Canton. So as soon as we are done here, I will try to reach out to Captain Foles to get an update on all of that as well. The LDC is meeting on the 23rd at 5 o'clock. So at our next council meeting, we will get an update on that as well.
You're done.
Perfect. You haven't figured out how to clone yourself, Dawn?
Not yet. Somebody got a 3D printer?
All right. Mr. Brownstro?
Nothing really. I did notice a post by or an email out from the civil service in regards to temporary positions for the Parks and Rec and some of those programs. Just to start the conversation, it would be great to get some of those programs going. I know things are still up in the air. Things are still liquid and fluid with the with where we're going with COVID and the pandemic, but it would be great if we could get the pool open, if we could get some of these programs started. I think it's a great idea. We did put this contingency, and if we can move forward with some of this, I think, it's worth opening the discussion of, what I do suggest, and I don't know if Rick or Chuck or the mayor's office is going to bring this up, or if Mandy's approaching it as well, is probably worth discussing, what it is that they want to open up and kind of have a good idea of, what funds we want to release. I know there's some things up in the air with this, some things when we're talking about the senior program. I'd like to still remain conservative. I know there's a lot of funding that's been coming in that should be helping these programs, that should be reimbursing us for where we were short last year and coming into this year where we expected some shortfalls. But I'd still like to say, let's have a discussion about this. Let's tread lightly and let's get an idea back from Parks and Rec, where they want to go and what they want to do. Just kind of to tie into that, Mr. Obrakta had reached out from the Boys and Girls Club and just kind of asked to maybe set up some sort of meeting with Mandy, if we could work something out with that, Rick. They have a lot of programs. They have that 21st Century program where they've had funding for the after school programs. They've certified some of their locations as learning centers, after school centers. This circles back to when we talked about putting this into contingency, how we could maybe better utilize some shared services. And, I don't know if Mandy has gotten anywhere with this, or if that's something we can bring her in and talk to her about. Just seems like we've got a couple of months to decide where we're going with these programs, and how can we approach these, both getting them running and financially how we're going to fund them, if that's where we want to move forward. So I'd like to see maybe some doors open to have some discussions of what else is out there, what else we can take advantage of. I think between other local not-for-profits, between the schools, I'd like to see us working a little more together to rely on each other and kind of spread out that cost amongst us if we can, and get a definitive answer is where we can, of what we need to spend to move forward with these programs, if you're open to that.
I know Mandy has met with Bob O'Brockton in the past. I'll defer more to the mayor on that. I think they met last year, but certainly times have changed. So
I think they have met and they have conversed. I just think they want to be a little more aggressive about what they can do. They have after school programs. They have several new locations in the city, or several locations that they promote. They've been open for after school care. They've had some food programs that they have money for. They have the ability to, maybe offset of hiring some employees to work for them to take over some of these services. He brought up a couple great ideas, but I think the idea is to maybe sit down with the mayor for the day-to-day stuff with Mandy and kind of see what's out there that we can take advantage of.
absolutely, I love it.
I'd even say take that a little further is, what other programs are available outside of our city with North Tonawanda, the town, our neighboring cities, to see if their programs are underutilized or utilized enough, or if we can share some of these programs. The busing is available that goes between the sites. If it's a matter of transportation, I think our location with Kohler being in the same proximity as a Boys and Girls Club is a great drop-off point for after-school programs. I just think there's a lot of opportunity there to work together, and a lot of potential for Mandy to kind of approach these ideas and kind of pursue them. So I'm just kind of putting that out there, and if you have the opportunity, if I can make some time and sit down with you guys and bring them together, I'd love to take the time to do that.
Great, thank you. Anything else?
No, nothing really. That's about it for now.
Perfect, thank you. Mr. Milam?
I don't have anything for this portion of the meeting. I do have some statements at the end, but nothing for right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Milam. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. And just Sean kind of stole my thunder.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. The planning for all the recreation programs, even though it's we're probably about 4 months away from any of those really materializing. The proper planning needs to go into make those happen. So just to piggyback on what Sean said, we need to have the discussion about the lifeguards and Kelly and things like that. And I think it's a great idea to kind of sit down and kind of hash the idea of working with the Boys and Girls Club. 2 years ago, we kind of discussed it, and I know that new program that they got funding for was in its infancy. We've had a few years to kind of see it work. So, let's look at it and see what we can do. But, we need to, if we, open the pool, which I hope to, we got to give people enough time to get their certifications, things like that. So while we have some time, we don't. So, the sooner we can have those conversations, the better. I received an update on Tonawanda Coke, and I know it's in the town, but because it's in such close proximity to both the city and the Niagara River, just wanted to give everybody an update. They're continuing demolition over there, mostly inside because of the cold weather, and because they can't use sprayers and things like that with this cold a temperature to kind of keep the asbestos and other nasty stuff at bay. They did encounter piping there that had swastika symbols. And there was a discussion going around about how the company that originally had cast those back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, because it was a religious symbol and a symbol of the Native Americans, that it was a Native American company that was using that symbol in order to cast all of the iron pipes over there. And it was kind of eye-opening, because you see that symbol, and it really is a symbol of racism, bigotry, atrocity. It was kind of nice to get an outside perspective before the 1930s, how that symbol was not used for that purpose, and didn't have the the connotations that it has today. So I mean, I could share that with everyone if they want it. It's like I said, it was pretty informative. Other than that, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. I just had one thing. I know, I believe it was a week and a half ago, I had a resident reach out about a special event that was happening in the city, and I turned to our city attorney to kind of review the ordinance and our form. And lo and behold, our ordinance certainly needs some updating. And I also reached out to council members Dave Milam and council member Sean Rautenstrau, who are our IT gurus here, to see if we could do a better job in enhancing the special event application and make it more user friendly, so where residents could apply for a special event permit on our city website. So more to come on that. But Mike, can you just kind of give us a synopsis of what we need to do to update our ordinance?
Sure. The way the ordinance reads now, the special events concerns basically use of city parklands. It really doesn't cover use of city streets and other city-owned property. So Brittany and I are meeting actually tomorrow afternoon, and that's one of the topics we'll discuss, and we'll come up with some recommendations. But actually, the special events permit section is listed under the public parks article. So we've been using that generally as a special events permit for anything in the city, and that's probably technically not correct. So we're going to amend the code to address that situation.
Perfect. And Sean, do you mind sending the draft out to the council so we can all take a look, and Jim as well, and the mayor, and see if there's any enhancements that we can make to it or any amendments to that? And I'd love if we could get this rolling online.
Yeah, no, definitely. I did take a few minutes to kind of write up like a basic Google form, kind of put those questions that are asked in that form into that, so it can be uploaded straight to something that you can access at the clerk's office, just to streamline that process a little bit. I'd be interested in kind of tying that into more with what Mr. Rua comes up with and how these ordinances work. I think there's been some questions that have come up, both with the event, with the rocket launch, which I think is great on city property, but some of the pop-up playgrounds and some of these other great community building events that are here, that there's been some questions whether or not they need special permits or whether they need this or that. And I just want to make a point that these are some great events that bring the community together, bring the kids together. And I think I said that when we were discussing it about the other event. We need to do what we can to make these more user-friendly, to promote these coming out and not create stone walls for these things to happen. Look at it further as far as what exactly that they need to have in a place to have these, what requirements that they have, When you're looking at a bunch of volunteers getting together to get some kids together, and you start talking about, well, maybe we need insurance policies or need these other things that are going to cost $300, and application fees that are $20, $50 to get these kids together. It's kind of counterproductive to what they're trying to do. And I'd like to see a way for us to kind of find a way to make these better, not only in just filling out the forms, but in the ordinance and in the code itself, to find a way to, cover our butts as far as what we need to have as far as liabilities, but at the same time, still be able to promote these events. I think they're great ideas, or great ways to get families together, get kids out there. And especially over the past year with everything going on, it's been a little sense of normalcy. So, I'd love to bounce some ideas off you, Mike, and just kind of see what you think and what we can do to make that work a little bit better for these types of things.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's the mission between Mike and Brittany when they take a deeper dive into this tomorrow.
Awesome.
And I'm all for making this user friendly and, making this accessible online for our residents. If there is a fee associated, Mr. Reese, could we tie that in somehow with the electronic funds so that they can pay online? Or is there more that we have to do with that, or? Oh, you're muted, sorry.
No, that comes through the clerk's office. We already have the online payment capability. We can just set up an extra step, but that would be something that Jim and I would work on together if there was.
Awesome.
But currently, you pay your dog license online, you pay everything else online. That's not really that big of a step. We also take pavilion rental where you can call it in or it comes through. So, and the Parks Department actually has their own software they purchased last year, the My Rec program, and that also has an online payment portal that's separate from the clerk's office and mine. So if it's actually a parks thing for a special permit, they would set it up in the My Rec and have it pay that way, and then it would track through and they'd be able to give you reports. So we have numerous ways to do that.
Okay, so it wouldn't be an issue. Okay. All right, anything else for around the room?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that too. And I think that there should be a way that instead of always, saying pay, that the council should be able to waive the fees for certain special events too, so that maybe we don't collect the fee prior to the resolution for the special events permit. And then, I would hate to see us start charging for, getting kids together or other things like that don't necessarily need to have any sort of city resource, loaned out for it.
I agree
a lot of these
1,000.
things can be, become cost prohibitive. Yeah, first day with the mouth. It's I don't want it to be cost prohibitive, and I want these groups to be able to do what they need to do to have their events. So just to spitball the idea.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Anything else for around the room? Bill, Jim, anything?
I have nothing, Madam President.
All right, and we don't have anybody else in the waiting room?
Nope, everyone is in the meeting on mute.
All right, then let's move forward into our formal session. If you're ready, Jim, I'll call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Newman.
Here.
Cameron,
Here.
Rautenstrau,
Here.
Milo. Where's Dave?
Here.
Cook.
Here. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag
United States of America,
and to the
and
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
with
and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
All right.
Someday they
Hey.
might actually go good.
I was going to read prayer number 1, but our city clerk reminded me that I've already read prayer number 1, so we'll go with number 2. Our Heavenly Father, enlighten us now as we meet together so that we have a clear understanding of the issues we need to discuss. Give us clarity on our purpose for this meeting and what objectives we should accomplish in this meeting. May these objectives keep us on track, and may they bond us together with a common goal. May these objectives drive each of us to actively participate rather than just passively listen. May this meeting be lively and productive, and may the desired outcome be achieved. Thank you. Is that delay on my end?
I think so.
I apologize. Apparently I need to upgrade my Wi-Fi like Councilmember Newman.
I have no issues anymore.
All right, communications from the mayor have been ordered and filed. Communications from city officials and correspondents have also been ordered and filed. We do have a certificate for Stephen Worthling that our clerk will present to the chief of police. And we'll now take comments by the public on the resolutions. Please state your name and address, or for those joining us on Zoom, if you wish to discuss the resolutions, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. Any comments or questions on the resolutions? Mr. Clerk, do you have anyone wishing to address the council?
I have no comments by any of the members of the public.
Okay, last call. Any comments? Okay, let's roll.
Resolution number 1 by the council, seconded by the council. Resolved that the common council minutes for February 2nd, 2021 be accepted as filed.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron Danner,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 2 by Councilmember Mylum.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
I'm sorry, do we have a second?
I'll second,
Oh,
Madam
I'm
President.
sorry. Second by Mr. Newman.
Resolved that the bills be allowed as audited.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron Danner,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 3 by Councilmember Rautenstrau.
Do we have a second?
I'll take it, Madam President.
Second by Ms. Cammerdiner.
Whereas,
Comments? Oh, sorry.
whereas the city of Tonawanda has recently adopted a local law expanding the Board of Assessment Review to 5 members. Now therefore be resolved at the recommendation of David Morano, City Assessor, that Carl Nocera, 28 Minerva Street, and Jason Voisinay, 600 Adam Street, be appointed to the Board of Assessment Review with a term to expire on September 30th, 2025.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 4 by Councilmember Cameron.
Do we have a second?
I'll second, Madam President.
Second by Mr. Newman.
Whereas a special events application was received by the city clerk for the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 77, for the wall that heals at Veterans Park. And whereas the application was reviewed and commented on by all appropriate department heads to ensure the safety and well-being of our residents. And whereas the details of the above named event must be coordinated with Captain Frederick Foles and Amanda Loft, Parks and Recreation Director, and the event chairperson now, and the event chairperson. Now therefore be resolved that permission is granted to the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 77, to hold the wall that heals from July 20th, 2021 through July 25th, 2021 at Veterans Park. And be it further resolved that a certificate of insurance naming the city as additionally insured be filed with the city clerk no later than July 9th, 2021.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 5 by Councilmember Mylum.
Do we have a second?
I'll second, Madam President.
Second by Mr. Rounstrau.
Whereas the city of Tonawanda intends to construct 2 new park shelters within Veterans Park. And whereas the city engineer, Jason J. Lamonaco, PE, has reviewed the above referenced action in relation to New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, seeker regulations, and has found the proposed action to be defined as a type 2 action in accordance with New York, with 6 New York CRR Part 617.5, Section C, subsection 9. And whereas type 2 actions have been determined not to be a significant impact on the environment or are otherwise precluded from environmental review under the Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8. And whereas the City of Tonawanda Common Council shall act as lead agency for the purpose of this review. And whereas the City of Tonawanda Common Council has familiarized itself with seeker and the proposed action, now therefore be resolved that the above action is declared as type 2 action by the City of Tonawanda Common Council. There is no funding impact on this resolution.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted. At this time, we'll now take comments by the public following the resolutions. If you wish to address the council, there is an option for you to do so. Mr. Clerk, do we have any comments, questions? Anyone wishing to address the council?
Madam President, I do not show anyone from the public looking to ask a question.
Anyone wishing to address the council can do so. There is a raise your hand. You can do so at this time. Last call. Mr. Clerk, anyone wishing to address the council?
Madam President, at this time, I'm still do not show anyone looking to ask a question.
Okay, with that said, Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Madam President. Every once in a while, we face situations in the city that we have to address. Unfortunately, tonight's one of those nights. So I've prepared a short statement to address my opinion on some situations. So I've been a member of this Common Council for the past little over 2 years. In that time, we have faced a lot of challenges. The problem is most of those challenges have stemmed from the mayor's office, either from the mayor's assistant, the mayor himself, or even persuading someone else to do the dirty work. The mayor, the Common Council, city attorney, and treasurer are all elected positions by the people. We take an oath to uphold the constitutions of the United States of America, along with the state of New York and the city of Tonawanda Charter. Clearly, the mayor does not take his oath seriously, as his most recent statements of, and I quote, regardless of what our city charter states, which is just a small excerpt of much lengthier email. So that confirms this. So whether we agree with the charter or not, we took an oath to follow it. These actions are not only a disgrace to the office, it is also an insult to the very people who put him in that office. Furthermore, these actions typically result in an unapproved expense to the taxpayer. Anyone's blatant ignorance of our charter raises serious concerns of one's honesty, integrity, and quite frankly, their simple moral compass. We are not perfect people. We make mistakes. However, this is beyond a mistake. It is repetitive behavior. Quoted once by the mayor himself, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. He probably should practice what he preaches. So, on a brighter note, I would like to acknowledge our fire department for their great work on a few recent working fires, Gilbert Building, Ellicott Creek Road, and Fillmore Avenue. Fighting fires in these weather conditions are extremely daunting. I would also like to thank Ellicott Creek Fire Companies, Brighton Volunteer Fire Companies, and Grand Island Volunteer Fire Companies for their assistance as well. I would also, this kind of comes from what we've talked about a little bit earlier, I would also like to thank Police Officer Stephen Worthling for his attentiveness and quick action on the Ellicott Creek Road fire. He noticed a fire in the rear of the home, called it in, knocked down the blaze with his fire extinguisher, which was coming from a garbage tote, and then he pulled the tote from the dwelling. Unnoticed, this fire would have spread to the roof in minutes. That was excellent work, and we greatly appreciate it. I'd also like to acknowledge our DPW workers for their great work this most recent storm. We had a lot of snow, and they did an excellent job clearing all of the roads by the morning. That's all I have, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Mrs. Cameron.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Officer Worthling as well, for his keen eye of keeping our city safe while we all sleep at night, knowing that he is driving around our neighborhoods, just checking on things, noticing things that might be out of place. Just a quick shout out for the COT United. You guys do a lot for the community that does not go unnoticed. I appreciate it. I love seeing the kids out enjoying the weather, whether it's summer or winter. Thank you very much for what you guys do. I had the pleasure of a meeting at City Hall, which was brought to our attention, some construction that's going on there. I look forward to seeing it come to the fruition at the end of it. It looks amazing down there. Just wish that, we were maybe brought up on board ahead of time of what was going on down there. I was kind of shocked knowing that, again, the council members were not allowed to access a city building that, I to this day, I still feel, which is, kind of ignorant at some point, of not allowing us to go into the city hall and see what's happening there. I understand why, due to the pandemic, but, a little foreseen work that was being taken care of. I mean, it looks amazing down there. I just hope that the funds that were going in to take care of this is not something that our residents have to be taken care of, and I have been assured that it is not. Again, that's really all I have. Stay safe, stay warm, guys.
Thank you, Mrs. Cameron-Diner. Mr. Rowenstrow.
I'm lucky enough to be not the last person to reiterate everything. I'm going to leave that to Dave to cover all those. But, I do want to say thanks to Steve Worthling for your quick actions, your quick thinking and taking care of that fire. I said I got the commendation. I think it's great work, and proud to have you as out there protecting and serving and putting out fires in our neighborhood. I also want to say thanks to the DPW. It was a rough morning this morning. The streets were clear, and it was a nice, easy ride to work. And to tag on to Don, COT United has done some great things. I think, it really is community building. I mentioned it earlier. I hope you guys can keep up the great work, and I hope we can do something to keep some bureaucracy out of it and make it an easier process for all of you. To that line, I thank Mike Rua for your work on making a determination on the rocket launch and just kind of making a ruling and just kind of telling everybody it's okay, and looking into this further and realizing that maybe we do need some adjustments to these ordinances and the charter. And that's really all I wanted to say. And thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Rowenstrow. Mr. Milam.
Thank you, Madam President. The first thing I would like to discuss tonight is I had the pleasure of being invited to the Senior Citizen Committee. I don't know if there's an official name, Senior Citizen Relocation Board Committee. The meeting happened this week. It was really my pleasure to be able to go in and sit and listen to all of the thoughts that this committee has put into, and very careful thoughts has put into this, what is a very important issue in our city. They have, I have to go in and say I was going in as a cynic on this, and that I needed to be convinced. And I think it took about 5 minutes of talking with the people on committee to be convinced. They have a great plan. It's going to take some outside the box thinking, which has already occurred to a pretty great deal. And I think that the city would be well served if we listen to what they are proposing. I'm not going to go any further because that was their work, and I'm not going to steal their thunder. And they are going to come to the council in a couple weeks with a formal report. So keeping that in mind, I think it'll be a really well done report. I think the thoughts that they've come up with and the ideas that they've come up with will not only serve the senior citizens, but the younger crowd in the city. And it really does kind of bring out some very forward thinking. So I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to give too much away. I would also like to say this is not really an official club. But when I was out snowblowing this morning on Gath Terrace here, there was about 5 other snow blower users going, And in the matter of a couple hours, we cleared the sidewalks on both sides of the street from corner to corner. I noticed numerous driveways, numerous driveway approaches being cleared for everybody's neighbor. It was just really nice to see, especially with the heavy plowed snow that was up on most of the approaches. So the unofficial Gath Terrace Snowblower Club really did a very nice job today. And I'd like to give them a shout out, especially because we have so many dog walkers and just people who walk for health up here. So it's nice to have cleared sidewalks. And then lastly, I would just like to remind everybody, if you do have a fire hydrant close to your house, please shovel it out 3 feet around the outside, down past the big steamer port on the bottom, so that in the case of an emergency, the fire department does not have to dig out your fire hydrant prior to taking care of any sort of emergency. So it's just a public service announcement. It takes about 2 minutes, but clear them out and do your neighbors a solid. I think that's it. I'm looking over my notes here. I think that's it for me this evening. Yep, that's it. Go ahead. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mylum. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd also like to applaud Officer Worthling and our fire department for the work they did, and our DPW crews. I know it's not easy. Everybody wants their street cleared. They want it down to bare pavement. And this time of year, it's kind of difficult, especially when it snows more than an inch an hour. So my hat's off to Officer Worthling, our DPW, and our fire department. I noticed that, and to piggyback on the COT United, I noticed we have a few members of COT United on here, and they really have done some great events in the city. And as I said in my state of the city, it was bad that the pandemic happened when that organization was really growing and really fermenting itself. And I'm really looking forward to what it is that, the ideas that they come up with moving forward in a hopefully post-pandemic, city and world. I just want to comment on what Councilperson Kamendiner said. Access to City Hall has never been denied for the council, to my knowledge. And I think the treasurer from the face he made during that comment would also back that up. City Hall is open to any council member that wants to come in and you check their mailbox or talk to anybody. City Hall was closed to the public, not city employees, and it remains closed to the public except for by appointment only, but any council member is free to access City Hall during normal business hours. So
I would like to just let you know, Mayor, that I've been turned away at the door by the police 2 times trying to come in and speak with people.
You should not have been. You should have let me know. Yeah, I mean, if that happens in the future, please let me know. Or, park around back and, somebody will open the door. So, I don't know there's a problem if somebody doesn't tell me, there's a problem. So in the future, I would, just ask that if anybody has a problem accessing City Hall, let me know and, we'll get you inside. And lastly, if you watch Saturday morning cartoons, you know all about Schoolhouse Rock. And it taught you the 3 different separate branches of government: the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. These are in place to help form a system of checks and balances in government. Back in 2007, when I was on the council, I raised the issue of the city charter, stating that cases of absence of the mayor, the council president will be acting mayor with limited power. The Common Council is the legislative branch of city government. with the mayor's office being the executive branch of city government. Ethically and legally, the two should never mix. In New York State, you legally cannot hold two public offices at the same time, even if the acting second office has limited powers. The term limited powers still assumes that the term acting mayor has some authority. If anyone, in fact, asks an attorney who has experience in governmental law, not election law, they will tell you the same thing. I don't have a problem with someone associated with the executive branch being in charge during periods of my absence. I have a problem with anyone associated with the legislative branch of government being in charge, as should the public, because it erodes that system of checks and balances in place. In many cities across New York State, this is the case. I'm not asking to reinvent the wheel, just to take some of the gray area out of the city charter and make it ethically and legally sound. Sending out emails assuming usurped power based on a faulty city charter is not the answer. It is my hope we can collectively as a city work together to get the proper legal recommendation to remedy and fix the issue. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm actually glad you ended with that because that's where I'll start. I find it very interesting that you would use the terms ethically in those statements, but you know, I want to shed some light on some communications that are on your agenda this evening. And it's very important that we as a council are transparent. With an absence of a newspaper, I've always preached about being transparent and not going to stop now. But beginning last Friday, the Common Council was advised that the mayor was on vacation and out of the country. There was no courtesy email to the council, nothing. There never is. Certainly, we're all entitled to vacations. That's really not the point. What concerns me is the emails that transpired. So on February 5th, our city clerk wrote to department heads and city officials, I'm sending out this email at the request of the council president. It was learned today that the mayor is on vacation and will be out of the country until February 12th. During the mayor's absence, in accordance with section 2.043 of the city charter entitled President's Functions, the president of the Common Council shall be acting mayor. Quote, therefore, until the mayor returns, Jenna will be the acting mayor. And if at any time a department head needs to reach her, you can call her on her cell. Have a great weekend. A short time later, the mayor responded with the following. Under New York state law, it is illegal for a public official to hold two different public offices, especially when they conflict with each other, two separate branches of government, and erode the system of checks and balances. Regardless of what our city charter states, unless Council President Cook resigns her position as council president, she cannot be acting mayor. Therefore, the memo that was sent out will be disregarded by any and all city employees. As always, I'm available at a moment's notice, no matter where I am. I replied to the mayor and said, Mayor, the email was dictated to the city clerk by me after the city attorney completed his research this morning. His legal decision is after review of the city charter and after he received an additional opinion on the matter back in 2019. Pursuant to the city charter, you are temporarily absent, which therefore the Common Council president is acting mayor. And he will send a formal correspondence tomorrow. If you have any questions pertaining to his legal decision, please contact him. A short time later, the mayor responded with the following. Quite frankly, I don't care what anyone's opinion is. Unless you resign, you are not acting mayor. I would also add how unethical it is to assume two separate positions last within the city in charge of two separate branches, regardless of what the city charter says. Nowhere else in any federal, state, or county jurisdiction does an individual get to hold dual roles of office. As I have already stated, your correspondence is to be disregarded and not followed. Have a great weekend. I replied back to the mayor and said, below is the email from the city attorney, which was dated February 13th, 2019. And the same situation applies today. I'm not required to resign my position as council president, nor am I holding two positions. I am merely serving as the acting mayor in your absence pursuant to the city charter. You are out of the country. That constitutes as a temporary absence as defined in the city charter. The legal decision was also after consulting with the attorneys from the Board of Elections. During your absence, I can be reached at, and I left my cell phone number. A formal correspondence from the city attorney is forthcoming this weekend. Please contact the city attorney with any questions. I also asked the city clerk to add all correspondences as official correspondences to the agenda. Now, this was the email that our city attorney sent to the council and the mayor's office back on Wednesday, February 13th of 2019. He writes, kindly forward this email to the common council, mayor, administrative assistant, and all department heads. I have been advised that the mayor is on vacation, and the issue has arisen as to who is in charge of the day-to-day operations of the city. The city charter specifically addresses this issue. Article 2, Governing Authority, Division 3, Common Council, Section 2.043, under President's Functions, subsection B, states in part, in the case of the temporary absence or temporary disability of the mayor, the president of the Common Council shall be acting mayor, but shall not have the power to appoint or remove officers. It is therefore clear that while the mayor is on vacation, he is temporarily absent from the city, and the Common Council president is the acting mayor. This procedure has always been followed in the past, so I'm not sure why this confusion has arisen at this time. As a city, we are legally bound to follow our charter and New York state law. I trust that this information sufficiently addresses the issue and would request that the Common Council, mayor, and all department heads act in accordance with this information. Thank you. That wasn't the last of the emails. The city attorney responded on February 8th with the following. Ladies and gentlemen, I have received several emails and telephone calls regarding whether or not the acting mayor clause of our charter is in effect at this time. You may recall that this issue was resolved back in 2019. The clause is effective when the mayor has an extended temporary absence from the city. In this case, the mayor's on vacation and out of the country. This clearly triggers the implementation of the clause. The fact that the mayor may be able to be contacted does not prevent the activation of this provision. I'm also attaching a decision from the Erie County Board of Elections, which was issued on February 27th, 2019, which confirms his similar position. I trust that everyone will act accordingly and follow the law, and there need not be any further discussion on this matter. Now, back on February 27th, an attorney from the Board of Elections wrote to our city attorney in part, the temporary absence of Mayor Davis does trigger the provision in the city charter of the Common Council president. Jenna Cook shall be the acting mayor of the city of Tonawanda. She is not holding dual positions and voting twice. Jenna Cook is merely acting as mayor until the return of Rick Davis. The emails continued even by the administrative assistant on February 12th at 2:28 p.m. The administrative assistant wrote, "To whom it may concern, as of 9:55 tonight, the mayor, Rick Davis, will be in New York State, and therefore any assumed authority established by the city attorney and the council president will be null and void at that time. If there is any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact the mayor or myself." This latest email prompted me to file a formal complaint with Mr. Davis against Mr. Gilbert for his legally incorrect email. The fact is, the decision from the city attorney back in 2019 and again in 2021 did not fit their narrative, so they weren't happy about it. The mayor stated in his emails, which was copied to all department heads and council members, that nowhere else in any federal, state, or county jurisdiction does an individual get to hold dual roles of office. I just want to let Mr. Davis know that our Vice President of the United States also serves as President of the United States Senate. Furthermore, when the governor of New York is absent, the lieutenant governor serves as acting governor, which is in Section 4 of the New York State Constitution. I even dug a little deeper. In the Erie County Charter, which is the governing laws within Erie County, specifically state in Section 304 that the deputy county executive shall perform duties of the county executive in his absence. Now, Mr. Davis's predecessor would go hunting and would notify the Common Council of his absence. I want to be very clear that this is not political. This is procedural. The mayor left the country during a pandemic, and in the event that an order needed to be communicated or signed, the administrative assistant had zero authority to do so. Mr. Davis told department heads and city employees to disregard Section 2.043, which is highly inappropriate and a violation of our own city charter. Mr. Davis took an oath of office to uphold the city charter. We don't get to pick and choose what parts of this charter we follow. This was a blatant disregard for not only the city attorney's opinion, but the advice of the Board of Elections attorney, who reviewed the matter back in 2019, for the city charter, and for the council presidents, current and future. And Mr. Davis owes all a public apology. Now, you would think that the city attorney's direction that this case would be closed. No. The administrative assistant forwarded the email to outside counsel seeking their opinion into the matter. This posed a risk to the city, and had it not been for our city attorney interjecting, this would have cost the city taxpayers. I'll remind Mr. Davis and Mr. Gilbert that Section 3.025 of the city charter states that the city may retain additional counsel when necessary and when approved by the Common Council. And in this situation, that did not happen. Now, Mr. Davis continually sends members of this council disrespectful emails, so there's really no surprise there. But to disrespect our city charter, I take offense to that. To tell city employees not to follow this section of the charter, I take offense to. To disrespect our city attorney and his opinion, I take offense to. The fact that you and your administrative assistant would disregard sections of the charter is absolutely appalling. Now, when you went on vacation back in 2019, I didn't make much noise of it back then. But given the fact that we still remain in a pandemic, my first and only thoughts were on the residents and keeping us all safe. And at the time the email was sent, our area was in a winter storm warning. I can't turn my head to the mayor's blatant disregard. And I've begged for years for Mr. Davis to cease sending members of this council disrespectful emails, but they continue. At a time when there is such hate in this world, I would think that our chief executive officer of the city would do his part to not send out disrespectful emails and unite the city instead of divide. Now, I'm fully prepared that the mayor will retaliate in some way, shape, or form. That is his common practice. But I can no longer sit up here and condone those actions. As I have said before, Mr. Davis owes this common council, our city attorney, our deputy city attorney, and department heads a public apology for his conduct and clear disregard for the city charter. And I don't believe the mayor went to school for governmental law, but when I defer to the city attorney for an opinion, I respect it. Back in 2019, when he issued the opinion that I couldn't run the council meeting in York because you were absent and I couldn't vote, I respected that opinion. Because I assume they do the due diligence into it. And I made a statement back then that the city charter has to change. I fully support it. But as it is written now, in your absence, the common council becomes acting mayor. Now, if you ask any department head, I didn't step foot in City Hall during your absence, but that was there in the event that we needed it. I want to end on a positive note. I want to thank Stephen Worthling. I also want to thank New York State Trooper New York State Trooper Lalanich for his efforts in practicing some life safety measures with a 12-year-old girl in Grand Island. Mr. Lalanich is a City of Tonawanda graduate, so that was certainly very heartwarming to see. I also want to give a shout out to Troop 600, who had placed mittens and scarves and hats throughout our city. That was certainly warm to see. With that said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Madam President.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a great night.
Aye.
Madam
Yeah.
President, who seconded the motion?
Mr.
Aye.
Newman,
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
good night.
Night all.
Thank all the residents for joining. I'm going to be ending the call. Have a great evening, drive safe, and stay warm.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks all.